My father tried to marry me off to a man who killed 2 wives, so I exposed all his secrets. 2 years later, he's back claiming I'm mentally ill and begging me to come home. My father showed up at my apartment at 6 in the morning, crying. I hadn't seen him in 2 years, not since I stood up at his church and told everyone what he'd tried to do to me. Now he was on my doorstep with red eyes, saying he was sorry, that he missed me, that I needed help. Rachel, please, you're sick and you don't even know it. I've been talking to doctors. They said what you did, the things you said about me, it's a symptom. I opened the door but didn't let him in. I asked what doctors he'd been talking to, and he fumbled with his phone, showing me emails from someone named Dr. Westbrook at a psychiatric facility 2 hours away. The emails talked about paranoid delusions, family estrangement, recommended treatment. My name was all over them. I haven't seen any Dr. Westbrook, I said. Dad nodded quickly, wiping his eyes. That's the point, sweetheart. You need to. Before this gets worse. 2 years ago, my father tried to arrange my marriage to Marcus, a man from his church who was 47 years old. I was 23. Marcus had been married twice before. Both wives died in accidents. The first fell downstairs. The second had a car crash on an empty road. When I said no, my father told me I was being ungrateful, that Marcus was a good Christian man who would take care of me, that it was already decided. So I started digging. I found police reports, insurance payouts, restraining orders that had been filed then mysteriously dropped. I found medical records showing both wives had been treated for injuries before they died, and I found my father's bank statements showing Marcus had been paying him monthly for 3 years, $20,000 total. I exposed everything at Sunday service, stood up during announcements and read it all out loud while my father tried to drag me out of the building. The church did nothing. They said I was troubled, that I'd always been dramatic. But Marcus left town, and my father cut me off completely. Now he was standing in my apartment doorway, and something felt wrong. He kept looking past me into my apartment, like he was searching for something. He asked if I was alone, if I'd told anyone he was coming. I hadn't told anyone because I didn't know he was coming. Why does that matter? Dad shifted his weight, and I noticed he was wearing new clothes, expensive ones, a watch I'd never seen before. He said we needed to talk privately, that he had so much to explain, that I'd understand everything once I just came home for 1 weekend. Just come home, Rachel. Let me take care of you like I should have been doing all along. I asked why now. Why after 2 years of silence was he suddenly concerned about my mental health? He started talking faster, saying he'd been wrong, that he should have protected me from Marcus, that he'd been afraid and made terrible choices. But here's what made my stomach turn. His car was parked in the visitor spot outside my building, a brand new luxury sedan, and in the passenger seat I could see someone waiting, a woman I didn't recognize, watching my apartment window. Dad, who's in your car? His face changed. Just a friend. She drove me here because I was too emotional to drive myself, but that didn't make sense. My father lived 6 hours away. Why would a friend drive him 6 hours at dawn? I stepped back and told him I needed to think about it. He grabbed my wrist, not hard, but firm. Rachel, please, you have to come home today. Right now. Not this weekend. Now. I pulled my hand free and asked why the urgency. He looked at the ground, then back at his car, then at me. Because Marcus came back last week. He's been asking about you, where you live, if you're still alone. My blood went cold. Why would you tell him where I live? I didn't, Dad said quickly. But he found out somehow. That's why you need to come home where I can protect you, where we have security systems and neighbors who know us. But I saw something in his eyes then. Something that looked less like fear and more like calculation. I asked to see his phone. He hesitated, then handed it over. I opened his recent calls. There were 17 calls to a number saved as M. The last one was from this morning at 5:47, 13 minutes before Dad knocked on my door. I felt my hands start shaking as I scrolled to his text messages. The conversation with M went back weeks. Planning, coordinating, and the most recent message, sent at 5:52 a.m., said she's home. Door opens inward. No deadbolt, because the rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.